I give you when to run the football, you give me a play. That's it. I don't understand some of these coaches why they cannot take charge, especially in critical moments. Because that's where the buck stops here with the head coach. And the head coach has to do a better job. Has to. And this is the same game all year long with the Jets. And listen, I don't expect the Jets to go in anywhere anyway. But But for the past couple of games, they outlast our expectations, because we in the beginning of the season, this Jets team was supposed to go nowhere. They're supposed to win either 1 or 2 games. Now they won 4 games. And it's the frustrating part. They could have been in a playoff hunt. Now, flush it down the toilet and look forward to 2018. And that's the story for the Jets. And speaking of flushing the season down the toilet, the Giants, as I say again, are officially eliminated from playoff contention, and the injury bugs continue. The offensive line, OJ, TJ, whatever, Flicker was injured as long as the other 3 players who's been injured for the New York Giants, and their season just continues to fall apart. And as far as playing the Redskins, listen, are you shocked the type of game? The Giants, again, played good enough to win the game. But the Giants lost because they gave up the big play when it matters most. And Eli Manning continued to turn the ball over. But give the defense credit. They played well enough to win the game. But when the big play when it matters most, with that play action pass where Kirk Cousins threw under 2 minutes to go, that's when they threw. That was the end of the game. Does that keep Bob McAdoo? Did that keep Bob McAdoo job in this game? No. The Giants obviously had enough of everybody coming down on them, saying that they quit about McAdoo, but the season is long over. The season is long over. And for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, that will put a finishing bow tie on the New York football season, because the season is a disaster. Two and 9. And listen, the more you think about it, and I know Eli is not going to like it. First of all, who cares about the freaking streak, okay? I don't want to hear about the freaking streak anymore. No one gives a rat's ass about the freaking streak. This is not Cal Ripken and Major League Baseball, okay? Try the new quarterback and see how it goes. And look to 2018, because that's where the Giants are. That's where the Giants are at anyway. and restructure their offensive line. I know Kerrigan is a hell of a player, but Kerrigan just had their way with Eli. And Jerry Reese, and whoever's the next GM of the Giants, 3 things they gotta go after. Quarterback. Well, I don't know about quarterback. Not too sure about quarterback. But offensive line got to be fixed. And you got to have a running game. The Giants haven't had a running game since the 3-headed monsters in 2008. T.J. Ward, Ahmad Bradshaw, and the biggest running back in the history of the National Football League, Brandon Jacobs. The Giants haven't had a running game since. And if you know the Giants, the Giants running game is always up to par. And that's got to be fixed one way or another. Otherwise, we're going to see the same thing over and over and over again. And Eli is not getting any younger, ladies and gentlemen. You know it and I know it. But enough about it. But that's to finish the stories of both New York teams as they look ahead to 2018, as there will be no playoff in New York football for 2017. All right, let's go around the league for a little bit. Let's go around the league in a little bit. Well, the Oakland Raiders look like the Oakland Raiders back, even though they beat the Broncos by a touchdown, by the score of 14-21. Crab, what the hell? What are we in the Source Awards? Or the Vibe Awards? Is this how strong our Team Khalib and Michael Crabtree? And this is not the first time Michael Crabtree has got into a little scuffle. As Michael Crabtree sucker punch Harris Jr. from the Denver Broncos, and then get into a wrestling match with Atiq Khalib from Denver and everybody from the Broncos, good old-fashioned Oakland Raiders Broncos rivalry. That looked pretty. That reminds me of the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders of the 1970s. I thought it was going back when the Raiders used to fight everybody in the 70s. But obviously, there's going to be some suspensions, there's going to be some fines, obviously, and the game just got ugly, as both Talib and Crabtree was ejected. So they're going to face, not only going to face some fines, they're going to face some suspension, and that's the story here. And look at the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have a total of 516 yards total as they beat the Buccaneers yesterday. And the Rams got back in the winning things after they lost against Minnesota. And speaking of the Vikings are on fire right now. The Vikings are on fire by beating the Detroit Lions at Thanksgiving, and their defense is just off the charts. But in the NFC, but no team is more hotter than the Philadelphia Eagles, as the Eagles continue get their 10th win and have their best record, have their best start since 2004, and we all know what happened in 2004, as the Eagles Look at if it goes right, they are on the verge of getting home field advantage throughout the NFC. Now on the finishing touch on the NFL of week 12, as the Baltimore Ravens will host the Texans tonight. The Baltimore Ravens are in the outside looking in, as if the playoffs ended today, Jacksonville and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore are outside looking in. I don't remember who's the other team, but they're in the drivers. Baltimore is in the outside looking in, as they look to keep their playoffs hopes alive, and they could go for the Rocco, because that NFC North belongs to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And speaking of the Steelers, what a game that was yesterday against the Green Bay Packers, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, outside of Minnesota, in my opinion, have one of the best, have the quickest defense in the National Football League. Zaire is a monster, as even though Brad Hundley held his own, throw for over 300 yards, did not turn the ball over, had 4 touchdowns, as the Killer Bees. If Antonio Brown, have you seen that catch? Speaking of Antonio Brown, do you see that catch? I thought for a second it would have been out of bounds when you see in normal speed, but when you saw it in replay, I was saying to myself, how in the world he made that catch, as he continues to be the best wide receiver in the NFL. And Chris Boswell, tremendous kick, which it looked like it didn't have enough leg, and he just squeaked it in just a little bit, as the field goal turned out to be good, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, as of right now, will have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, as until they match up against New England, as the Steelers is clicking in all cylinders, as far as the Green Bay Packers. This season looks to be over as we speak, but still have 5 games to go in the regular season. And as we look forward to. Now with the college football, let's wrap up the show talking about college football. As I told you in my last show, as I told you a week ago, Miami will not finish the season undefeated, because even though they were lucky against Virginia, but eventually they were not going to beat Pittsburgh, because they were going to fall into the trap that they have an easy sailing to go in the playoffs, and in the result, Pittsburgh just was ready for Miami, as Pittsburgh got nothing to lose, as they upset the Miami Hurricanes, and even though Miami got to play for the ACC title against Clemson, but that's not what shake up this year. Alabama lost to their hated rival Auburn, and Auburn make it interesting, because Auburn could make a case for themselves as being the number 1 team in the country. Despite the fact they are the first team, if I'm not mistaken, to beat both number 1 teams in the same conference